everybody, Buster Green here, the 1990s cartoon hero who is stuck playing 1990s video games and talking about 1980s anime. So today I decided to review Panzer Paladin, but I also have some other things to talk about that are related to that. So Panzer Paladin is a Switch indie game that just came out. It's very much a post-Mega Man 2D side-scroller, and for this video I want to touch on the post-Mega Man side-scroller era. Now, the post-Mega Man era has started in 2011 when Keiji Inafune betrayed us all and left Capcom on bad terms, thereby causing Capcom to cancel all in-development Mega Man games to spite Inafune, despite that further enraging and harming the already offended fanbase. And after that, the Vultures decided to swoop in to try and take advantage of that fanbase. Whereas previously, there had always been sorta Mega Man ripoff games, now in the post-Mega Man era, we have official Mega Man ripoffs made by some of the finest AAA ranked game studios in the world that waste millions and millions of dollars. However, some of them are genuinely made by people who give a fuck. The first decent one was Shovel Knight, made by Yacht Club Games. That was 90% a ripoff of Mega Man, but it was also set in medieval times, and it also had some elements that were stolen from DuckTales and Mario 3, to make a very nice blend of flavors that was palatable. Now, Panzer Paladin is pretty aggressively a post-Mega Man set game. Now, like Shovel Knight, it has knights in it. It also steals the pogo attack from DuckTales. And holding it to all the same standards, its overall theme and vibe is obscure 80s anime you never heard of. While mixing up the formula a little bit, it plays kinda like Mega Man while using the combat system from Zelda 2. And you're a giant robot with a little lady inside who plays kind of like the Bionic Commando if she comes out. Now, to start with, you get a world map with numerous places to go, which is sort of like Mega Man and Street Fighter put together. Unlike Mega Man, you get slightly more than 8 bosses to start with, so that very much threw off my personal rhythm. Very much like Mega Man 3 in every stage where you'd fight a red guy named Proto Man. In Panzer Paladin, literally every stage contains a mid-boss battle with a guy named Horseman. These battles honestly kind of get a little bit boring, but when you beat him, you get a fairly OP weapon which you need to smartly save to take down the stage's boss. Oh, and I have to mention that when you beat the Horseman in the middle of the game, you get these really cool special weapons that are being designed and distributed by the game's online fan community. Now, actually, what the biggest difference is between this and a standard Mega Man ripoff is that the weapons you get in this game, even the very good boss weapons, only have a certain amount of stamina in them before they break. No matter how rare they happen to be, I want to think this is inspired by the weapon system in Zelda Breath of the Wild. Now, on the bright side, you can put those weapons in the storage, and rarely, I want to say like once per stage, you might find a weapon repair item that can fix those rare boss items. But for the most part, this game is about finding and breaking an endless supply of crappy weapons. Okay, spoilers from here on out about the game's story and levels if you haven't played the game yourself already. Now, you get a set of pretty standard side-scroll levels in this game. You get your typical New York ghetto and a very Strider-inspired Russian rooftop stage. Overall, in this game, the difficulty is hard, but not super hard. What is, however, the literal hardest part of the game is the Pazuzu boss in Mexico. This boss gave me so many problems. He could fly, he was out of my weapon range, I could barely hit him. He did a faster and more unpredictable version of the Storm Eagle's dive attack from Mega Man X1, and the weapons I had to use against him did not work very well at all. I died against him so many times that I lost a very large amount of my cashed up weapons I had collected up to that point in the game, and that I used up fighting him and trying to kill him. But that was actually it. This is one of those games where all the bosses are pretty easy, except that one stupid one about an hour in. And that was the mountain I had to overcome. Now, the endgame levels are literally the Dr. Wily stages from the Mega Man games, just without all the catchy music. There was another level that tripped me up just a little bit because what I thought was a background decoration was also totally legitimate deadly lava. And actually, one thing I am going to say about the gameplay overall is the biggest issue I had with this game series compared to the Mega Man series is that unlike Mega Man X or classic Mega Man, who has like a dash or a slide, the closest thing Panzer Paladin has is like a reverse dodge. And there were a couple of times I tried reverse dodging to do like a moonwalk, but overall the reverse dodge kinda sucks. It's just harder to use than a normal dash or a slide, and it isn't a good way to get around. So for the most part, this game was a long march. Anyway, continuing on, the final boss battle of the game was this giant Birdman with no motivation or personality. He reminded me of a very, very bland version of Garuda from Combattler V, and he was basically no problem at all to defeat. He fought like a bad ripoff of Mega Man X1 Sigma, and yeah, just overall easy. The game also has 2 endings, but the ending you get is decided by your actions taken immediately after the boss fight. I didn't quite understand this, so I chose the bad ending. Anyway, branching off, Panzer Paladin somehow flatly rips off the setting, title, and characters of 1980s fantasy mecha series Panzer Armor Galient. The only main difference between them is that the Galient was piloted by a human prince named Geordie, and Grit, the Panzer in Panzer Paladin, is piloted by a cute android girl named Flame, who strangely looks like a cuter and nicer and more marketable version of Galeria from Dunbine, which was another classic 80s mecha series. So I'm going to change topics here and talk about Galient for a little bit. I watched this whole anime back in the day, and honestly it wasn't a great anime. Now, I usually love myself the 80s series. There's something you just can't replace about hand-drawn anime. But Galient is just one of those shows that didn't really hold up. Maybe too much went over my head on this series because it was only available in the original Japanese, and I had to watch it on some old VHS tapes, which were kind of murky and hard to make out quality-wise. I'm also a little murky on the story because it's been so many years since I watched it. I do remember afterwards I watched some compilation movies, or maybe they were like remake OVAs created afterwards. I want to say those were better and made more sense to me. Anyway, on the other hand, Panzer Paladin's story, it was okay. While it didn't take you straight back to the Galient world, it gave you this kind of random, vague story with aspects of Final Fight meeting aspects of Neon Genesis Evangelion. It carried us through from battle to battle. It was alright. The most amazing thing I will say I took away from Panzer World Galient was actually the opening. The Panzer World Galient theme song is like one of the catchiest, most passionate and aggressive 1980s songs I have ever heard. It was done by legendary 80s prog rock band EUROX, who despite putting out tons of hit songs in both English and Japanese in the 80s, are now such legends that you can barely find few scattered traces of them on the modern internet. The Galient opening, because of how much it rocks, became my official theme song for trying to get to work in 2015. Now, Panzer Paladin gets an 8 out of 10. It's a solid, original post-Mega Man side-scrolling game with just a little bit of heart, and the difficulty wasn't so bad. A little out of balance, but I totally dug the 8-bit aesthetic and the rock soundtrack. Panzer World Galient, the anime, however, gets a 2 out of 10. I'm honestly really disappointed in it. Even though it was a cliche 80s anime, it squandered the cool potential of medieval warrior knights in space using giant robots. However, the opening set aside from the rest of the anime will get a 9 out of 10, for just being one of the finest 1980s anime openings I've seen ever. And as a final point to this review, the band EUROX, the legendary, beyond epic 80s band, who wrote perfect hit songs in both Japanese and English without fucking up either language, gets a 10 out of 10. That's right, people. I came into this video trying to review a video game, and I gave all the points to a bilingual 80s prog rock band. This is my YouTube channel. This is the shit I'm gonna do with it. And if anyone can find any other albums or songs by EUROX, you are my friend now. They are literally the real-world equivalent of the Night Begins to Shine band from Teen Titans Go. When I hear their music, it is just the best music. Alright, I was me and Buster Green. I beat Panzer Paladin. I watched Panzer World Galient. I am sick of Panzers. Subscribe to my channel. Good night.